So thank you so much for everybody for joining us. We are really excited to be able to share this information with you. You know, we are, as I mentioned, we are a remote team, so we have a lot of, knowledge and sort of managing remote relationships and working in a remote environment. And we just hope there's, in some small way we can help you out with your initiatives and sort of navigating this strange and sort of difficult time. So, and thank you to everybody for what you do. A lot of our students are the ones that are, most at risk at this time. And so what you do is really, really important. So that is not lost on us as well. So I have just a slide up front of all the important links. So if you're watching the recording or you just want to know sort of what we're going to be going over, all of this will be sent out to you after. Basically, we have a sign up for individuals to sign up at a 50% discount. I'll get into what we're doing for our response to coronavirus. We also have a form for school district support. Carrie and Brittany worked on a 8 to 10 week remote learning syllabus for different ages. So we'll have those for you as well. Those are specific pieces of material you can use week by week to teach your students. And then we put up a bunch of blog posts on our guides to remote learning. So the quick start guide for using our tool, if you haven't used it or want a refresher, as well as specifically using it in a remote environment. So with some of the tools we're going to show you today. And then kind of separately, some of the third-party tools that you can use to augment your everyday speech experience, or just any other teaching experience you might have in a remote or e-learning environment. So we'll cover what everyday speech is. We'll walk through the product. We'll show you how you can share materials with parents for free. I'll get into that in a second. Carrie will talk through sort of some of her clinical recommendations and walk through the remote learning syllabus, and then some tips and tricks on using some tools for remote learning, and then information for school districts as well. And we'll have questions and answers throughout, so feel free to just keep asking those questions in the chat and the QA. Okay, so what is everyday speech? We do have a big percentage of people who aren't current users of our product. So basically what everyday speech is an all-in-one digital curriculum for teaching social skills and social emotional learning. So we have hundreds of videos, web games, and printable and digital activities organized into a full step-by-step curriculum that walks you through all of our materials. We add new materials every month of the school year. We're still adding materials. We just added some materials for the month of March. So we work on sort of all the critical social skills and social emotional skills that you can think of: conversation skills, problem solving, empathy, self-regulation. We do it all, and I'll show you the full curriculum when we jump into the product. So who can you use the social learning platform with? Here are some of the skills I mentioned before. We have materials for everyone from pre-K through high school. I would say our sweet spot is sort of that elementary and middle school range, but we definitely do have materials that span the full range, as well as materials that can adapt for all different levels of learner, from emergent to more advanced learners.
Yep, and you can see here the skills that we cover. And so as Cal said, especially in these times, you may be able to adapt our materials and really take a video lesson, take one of our video modeling lessons and use it in a new and different way. Especially working on functional communication, possibly some language skills. I really could see getting a lot of use out of these lessons in maybe different ways than we even intended. So we could talk a little bit more about that as you see them. And again, thinking of the different ages and precursors, we usually say that the best candidates for our materials would be students and children that have, that basic to moderate understanding of language, because if you think about the videos, they do use dialogue. So being able to understand the words that we use in those videos. But again, we have many adaptable and accessibility features within the videos. We have text on screen, highlighting in there. And you could possibly, if you're using them for students that have language delays or disorders, you could possibly add in even more scaffolding and be able to adapt them in that way.
Okay, so our coronavirus response, we sort of jumped on this last week. And so I want to make it really clear that this is sort of just the beginning for us. We're definitely open to feedback from you in terms of what features you need, anything we can do to help support you. So basically, the three main things that we've done so far is allowing any paid user to share materials with unlimited parents for free through July 1st. So I'll walk you through how this is going to work, but basically you'll have a link that you can send to parents. They will create their own account. So our system requires an account to be created. And so they just create an account. It's completely free. It's just kind of needed for our system to work. And we're sort of, you know, catching up here and trying to build this really fast. And so an account is still needed. So they create an account and then you can send them links to materials and they can just view it on their end 100% free. So I'll walk you through how to do that. We're also providing schools and affected organizations a 50% discount through July 1st. That may be extended depending on how things go, but you know, we feel like we have a tool that is really helpful in these times, and so we want to make sure as many people can use it as possible. And then lastly, building a special syllabus for remote learning, which we already have and we'll go through today. Okay. So now I'm actually going to jump in and show you the product and how you can use it to teach in a remote learning environment. Just exit here. Okay. Okay, so here I am in the social learning platform. So just to reiterate, it's a digital curriculum for social emotional learning with videos, web games, and printable and digital activities. So I'm on my dashboard here. I'm going to give a really quick overview of how this works, just because we have some current customers and we have a lot to get through. But basically on my dashboard, it's all the materials I've been looking at. So I have my recently viewed materials, goals in our curriculum that I've been looking at, as well as saved lists. So this will be, obviously this will be pretty big for working in a remote environment because you can create and share lists with parents. I'm going to walk you through the curriculum really quickly just to show you what that looks like. Here are all the skills that we work on in a rough developmental order. So starting with emotional recognition and ending with hygiene. And sort of everything in between. So it's built in a rough developmental order. You can pick and choose the order you go in. If you want to start at number 1 and work through everything, you can, but you're not really locked in. As a therapist, you can, you know your students better than anybody else. So maybe emotional recognition isn't where they need to start, and you can jump into conversation skills or perspective taking. So just quickly, all of our materials organized into skills and goals. If I click on a goal, you can see these lesson units that we've created. So these are organizing our materials into a bundle of 4 lessons for you. I'm not going to go too deep into this because we have the remote learning syllabus as well. But basically, every lesson bundle is organized into introduce, practice, apply, and review, and is a mix of videos, printable activities, and games. We also have some teacher training tools here, as well as a bunch of visual supports for you to download. Icons, goal posters, things like that. So we have dozens of these goals and, you know, a bunch of lesson bundles under each one. So I encourage you, if you're in the platform, to kind of poke around to see how we organize the materials. Okay, so I'm going to jump into the browse all materials section of the platform. So this is outside of the curriculum, this is where all of the materials are housed. And so you can see this is organized by date added here. So again, we add materials every month of the school year. So you see these materials that were added this month. We have videos, activities, and games organized, as well as you can filter by the skills and the ages of your students to get the relevant material. Okay, so I'll show you what an actual video looks like. So I'm going to click here. Carrie is going to go into this maybe in a little bit more detail, but I just wanted to show you what a video page looks like, how a video is roughly laid out, and show you one of the remote learning features we have in here. So when you click on a video, you'll see that there's this little what to do section over here. We have, you watch the video lesson. Every video comes with a video companion worksheet. And so we can get into this, but a great way to assess student progress and comprehension is to assign this video and then possibly have them fill out the companion worksheet, which I have right here. Fill out the companion worksheet and send it back to you. And we actually have a little remote tip for you. I'll get to that in a second. But I'm gonna start the video. Let me just shut off the sound here. So all of our videos are a mix of animation and live action. And so we break down the skill. This is actually a game video, but we're talking about conversation measuring cup. So how to make your response length match the question that the person asked. So we introduce, and then in this one, we will have some live action here after we introduce the skill. And they have to guess whether the person is using their conversation measuring cup correctly or not. And so one of the features we have for remote learning, one second here, is this digital pen. So I'm just gonna pause this. So when the video is paused, you can actually draw on the screen. So if you were using Zoom, for example, like we're using now, if you're using Zoom as sort of a telepractice piece of software, you could actually use this pen and work with your students and draw on the screen. So maybe you could have them, circle what they want, vote, tally. Even if we skip ahead to some live action here, you might be able to draw, okay, where is her eye line? What do you think this person is thinking? So that's just a nice tool. We have, hundreds of videos. And so there's a whole bunch of really unique ways that you can use this. And Carrie might go into this a little bit later when she's talking about this from a clinical standpoint. Okay, so that is the video and the remote, digital pen. So again, we have hundreds of videos in here. The next thing I'm going to show you is our digital activities. So we have, again, hundreds of activities in here, ranging from a complete packet, like something you might download on Teachers Pay Teachers, which is, a poster, homework, a game, an activity, kind of could take you several sessions to complete, to quick activities, which they just sort of outline a role play or a discussion, and it's just meant for you to talk through. So if you're talking with a student over a video conference, it might be a great way to have a virtual session, and you just might have, these scenarios, or let's talk about bullying, or practice following directions, where the piece of paper is sort of just the impetus for the discussion, but all the interaction is happening with you and the student. And then we also have a bunch of student-led worksheets, which are traditionally, you would print them out and then the student would fill them out. So in a remote learning environment, that's, not really possible. So recently we released an update which made hundreds of these worksheets entirely digital. So to find those, I'm gonna click search and click interactive here. Search interactive, excuse me. Let me go back to the activities. Search interactive. I'm just gonna sort to get the most recent. Here we go. And so if I click on this, you'll notice there's two options here. So here's the worksheet. So this is a basic matching worksheet, which is you match the scenario in column 1 with what could happen in column 2. So you can either download this as a PDF and print it out and fill in the answers by hand like you would a normal piece of paper, or you can play it on screen. So if I go to play it on screen, this is a completely digital version of this activity. And so now you've taken what was a paper-based activity and you've really made it engaging, especially in a remote environment. We'll get into this also, but using Zoom, you can hand over the remote control of your mouse. And so your student actually could click and drag on your computer using the remote control. So if I play this activity, your dad gave your brother a new action figure, you take it from him. And so what could happen? I'm gonna guess this is your dad will punish you and your brother will feel angry at you. So I'm gonna go over here and match these two. So again, this is the same as this, this printable one where you would normally draw arrows, but instead you're just doing it all on the computer. So we have, again, hundreds of these. If I X out of here, you can see all of these activities. We have spinners, we have sorting, we have fill in the blank. And so there's a ton of these digital activities that are in here. One thing I actually wanted to jump back to that I missed, which is sort of a remote learning tip. If I go back to the video and the, actually let me clear up my search, and the companion worksheet. So I opened this companion worksheet actually in another window. And so one of the tools we're recommending to use with everyday speech and just for remote learning in general is a tool called Kami. So it's a Chrome extension. It's 100% free for users during the coronavirus. They've made it free. And so you'll see there's an option to open with Kami here. So I've already done that and opened it in a new window. And so you have all these tools. So you have a text box, you have markup, you have drawing. So you can see I circled my answer here. I could circle my answer here as well. So you could imagine sending this to a student if they have Kami. They could actually fill out this worksheet and then download it and send it back to you. So you can see there's text box. I already put text goes there, but I can write my answer. Now I'm filling this out, and then using the conversation measuring cup, this question asks you to color in the measuring cup to show how much you should talk to answer these questions. So I'm going to take my little drawing pen, and I think this question deserves a large response, so I'm gonna fill this in here. And then all I do is click download. And now this downloads to my computer with a completely filled out version that I can then, it's just down here, that I can then send back to you as the professional. And so obviously there's a wide range of students. There's some that may not be able to do this, and there's others that can, but it's just like, if you're looking for a quick way to assess comprehension of a video, you can definitely have them complete the worksheet using Kami on their own time and then email it back to you. Another good way is just, if you are in a live session, is to just open that companion worksheet after you've watched the video, talk through the student's answers with them, and then, maybe fill in the worksheet yourself using Kami, or, maybe it's just, you're fine just sort of talking about the, just talking about the answers. Okay. The last thing I'm going to show, actually second to last thing I'm going to show in here is just our games. And so we have a whole bunch of web games in here. We have a bunch of different skills. So we have Jeopardy style games, a more arcade style question and answer, a bingo game. I'm working on all different types of skills. So I've opened some of them for you to show you over here already. So this is conversation drivers and stoppers bingo. And so the bingo questions are they're varied. So they might be an open-ended question. There might be multiple choice or video questions as well. So if I click on one of these, so this is actually a video question where the student would watch the video. And then we have our answer here. One thing to note is that usually you as the professional are the moderator of the games. And so a lot of these are open-ended. And so, what might be right for one student might not be right for another student. And so we just, the correct and incorrect is really based on your judgment. I won't play the video, but this would play a video and then it asks the question. So I'm gonna mark that as correct. So it's a fun little game, especially if you are using groups. This is really great to share your screen, and you have each student. Again, they can control your mouse using Zoom, so they could click on the question they want, they could answer it, and it's just fun and engaging for them to get some points. We also have Will of the Wheel, which is, this game is working on nonverbal communication, but we have a whole bunch of different Will of the Wheel games. So this is a Wheel of Fortune type game. So I'm going to hit spin. And there's some great sounds happening right now, but I just have them muted for the webinar. But again, this is a really visually engaging game. So this is going to be a guess it question, I believe, where it's almost like a sort of like charades type thing. So the player must describe the secret word without saying the word. Everybody else listens and takes turns. So if you're doing this in a digital environment, you might have everybody else cover their eyes or look away, something like that. So the player has to describe body language without using, body or language in what they're describing. And then if you find a question isn't appropriate for your student, you can always skip to get a different question of that type. Last two really quickly, Social Road Race. So this one is a digital board game. Again, great for groups to work together. So it's got everything. You pick a card, you roll your dice. I think I'm gonna have to reload this one here. But it's a really, really fun interactive game, again, for groups. Just give me 1 second. There we go. So the first player would go, they would pick their card. And now this game is all about problem solving. And so again, you're the moderator. They're rating it from 1 to 5. This is about a friend's dog biting someone. How big of a problem is that? So if they're correct, they get to roll their die and then move a few spaces after. Okay, and the last one I just want to show very quickly is build emoji. This is really fun if you're working on emotional recognition with maybe those younger students. We have 2 versions, one where you can just build an emotion, and then another where you're doing like a charades game again, where you're given an emotion and you have to build it and everybody else has to guess. But if I want to build my emoji, maybe I'm a little bit upset because of the shutdown, so I'm going to make an angry emoji. Let's see, what are angry eyes here? This one. And then my mouth is very upset and my mood is definitely red. So you can see there's my little emoji, how I'm feeling based on the shutdown. And then if you want, you can save this and you can print it out or save an image of your emotion. It's just like a nice little artifact to show that you played the game. Okay, so the last thing I want to do here in the product before I hand it over to Carrie for some clinical advice for you is show you how to share lists and materials with parents. So this is how you're going to be sharing it with people at home. So if you are a paid customer in your settings, this link was emailed out to you earlier, but you also have this link right here, which sends you to a page that will generate, I'm going to open this in a new window over here. It will generate a form where your parents can sign up 100% free. So it allows them to just create an account, they set their password, and they can log in and access all of our materials for free. So what you can do is, once you've done that and they have their own account, you can just click and you can share links directly with them. So if I wanted to share this video with somebody else, I have another window open here. So this is a totally different account than mine. And so if I paste this link in here, this should work for the parents on the other end. So you can see the video opens. And a really nice thing you can do is use save list to create a list for a student. So you'll see everywhere here, up here, if I click on a piece of material, there's the saved list option as well. So a list is basically just like a playlist like you would have in Spotify or whatever, a music player. It's a list that you create of your material so you can organize it however you like. So you might do a week by week list. So week 1, week 2, you might do a list for each individual student, or you could do it based on skills. So here's my problem solving videos and I want all my students to work on problem solving. So if I see a piece of material, I can save it to a list. So I can create a new list here, or I can save it to an existing list that I've already created. So I'm going to save it to my remote learning week 1 list, save it there. And so if I go over here to remote learning week 1, you'll see that video is now here. So here we have the URL of the list as well. So I go here and I share it with my parent. And now my parent can see that list with all the materials on it. And so even if I add more materials, like if I go here and I add, let's say I want them to play the bingo game. Oh, that's actually already in there. Let's say I wanted them to watch this video, Coping with Tough Emotions. I save it. And then if I go over here as the parent, you can see Coping with Tough Emotions is now in there. And so that's a really, really easy way for you to share the materials for a student. So let's just say this was Cal, this is Cal's videos, and you want to assign the videos to me. You could just create a list of everything and then send the link to the parent, or share the link using a learning management system like Google Classroom or Canvas or something like that. And I would encourage parents on the other end to bookmark the lists so that they can access them really quickly. But you can share links to specific pieces of materials, lists, really, you name it within the platform. So that is the easiest way for you to share materials with parents. Okay, So I know I just went over a lot with you there. Why don't we take a break for a minute just to see if there are any questions that are coming in that maybe we should answer. So I'm just I'm gonna stop sharing for a second here. From the team, has there anything been coming in consistently that we want to answer?
I think it might make sense to walk through the sharing of lists to parents again, just one more time, so that everyone's kind of clear on exactly how that runs.
Sure. Okay. Anything else?
And the parents definitely need to sign up to make it work.
Yes. So just to kind of address that, our product is based on parents, based on having an account to work. And so we've kind of tried to build this feature in the last 3 days. And so one of the limitations is it just needs an account right now to be able to view materials. So they do have to sign up. It's 100% free, but they just have to create the account to be able to go in and view. So I will show again how to share the materials with parents. So let me share my screen here. Okay, so I have my saved lists. So everywhere you see here, you have the opportunity to create a list or save material to an existing list. So I'm going to save this Think It or Say It video to my list, Remote Learning Week 1. Again, my list can be whatever I want. Okay, so now if I go up here to the saved lists page, it's right at the top. You'll see Remote Learning Week 1 is right here. So I'm going to click on that. I have the URL of the list. So this is actually in the web browser up top, the URL. So I just copy that and paste it in an email, in a document, and then anybody can click on it and they can go in right here and see the list. Is that clear?
Hey, Kyle, I think there was another question about what parents can see beyond the list. So when you send the link, are they able to see anything outside of that? Or are they able to just see the links, or excuse me, the lessons and all of the videos that are within that saved list and not see anything else that's on that specific SLP's account?
Yeah, so the person on the other end has their own account. And so it's completely unlocked. So they can go into the curriculum, they can go into the browse all materials, but they won't see your lists or your dashboard. They'll see their own dashboard. And they'll only see the list that you share the link with them. So, if I go in here, I have other lists like Mrs. B's class. If I don't share that link with somebody else, they're not going to see that list. So I don't know if it's a matter of wanting to keep things sort of separate, but it's completely unlocked for the parent. They can view any piece of material in the platform, but they're not viewing sort of your account. They have their own account.
And just to add, you can share individual materials beyond just lists. So if you want to share a list for a whole week, that's totally fine. Or you can pick a video and just copy the URL in the same way and then just share that with the student.
Yep. So if I'm on a video right here, once it loads, you can just copy this link up top right here, just the same as I did with the list, and share that with parents in an email or a document or something like that. Okay.
And just to chime in quickly, we do have a ton of questions coming in. We're doing our best to answer them as quickly as we can.
Okay. Yeah, so we have over 1,500 people in the webinar, so definitely something, definitely a hot topic, but just bear with us. Thank you. All right, I think we're good. So Carrie, I'm gonna pass it over to you. You can share your screen and we can get going.
Great. All right. Hi, everybody. Again, I am Carrie Driscoll, and I am one of the speech pathologists on the Everyday Speech team. I was in public schools for 10 years, and now I'm full-time with Everyday Speech. The owner of Everyday Speech, Brittany Brunell, and I created this, actually, really, Brittany created this, this syllabi for 3 different age groups. Open right now, I have the syllabus for our early learners. So now we're kind of thinking like pre-K to 2nd grade is really what this syllabus would, who the syllabus would be for. And we've created some units for you. I think for most educators, you are thinking of kids in terms of your 30-minute kids, your 60-minute kids, your 90-minute kids, and you will combine what you know about that student and their learning pace to think about what you want to assign and how you want to assign that by week. But here you have what we anticipate is about 8 to 10 weeks of social skills work for them. And then this is our upper elementary. So we have, you can see we're getting a little bit more materials here. We know that these are the students who can use a computer by themselves. And so now they can be looking at a video, playing a game on their own a little bit more than our little ones who need you to be with them and navigating with them. So here is kind of a quick look at some of those units and skills. Okay. And you can see we've put together what we think is you're probably reflective of what goals are on your IEPs and that the syllabus that you would get the most use out of, not knowing what you've gotten to or not gotten to this year or last year. But we also wanted to make sure our materials were really the most challenging as well during this time, knowing that parents and students could really make modifications as they saw fit. So you can see our older unit, high school unit, has a few different things that our younger units don't have, like online communication. And so please utilize those if that makes your life easier. We know that you are very busy trying to plan for everybody. So if I jump into the platform, I am going to pretend now that I'm going to do a video chat or video conference with one of my students. For those of you who are planning on doing that as part of your e-learning in these next couple weeks or months, you know, you have a lot of decisions to make on how you want to do that. So you certainly can, I'm anticipating that you'll be assigning videos and worksheets to students as part of their independent work. But this would be an example if we were, one second, let me get the volume off on here. Let me move some things around. Okay, so I want to go to full screen. So I'm clicking down here. And the reason I want to go to full screen is because I want to use the draw on screen feature that we have. And so if a student has already watched this video, I know that they've given themselves an introduction to a new set of skills. And so I'm going to move through this really fast. I know that my therapy time and one-on-one time with them is very short, and I want to get some data and I want to get to the heart of their comprehension and really fill in those gaps and really have fun with them. One of the things that we know, if students being home with their families a lot, their time is very restricted with other people. And so I know I'm a new person in their day that's not a family member, and I want to really make that positive and fun. So I pause. This is probably a time I really want to talk about how they feel when they are needing this strategy. So let me back up a second. This video is all about changing the channel when you have tough emotions. And what we mean by that is the ability to control yourself, realize that you're experiencing a big emotion, have that kind of self-identifier, and be able to change your thinking and your feelings yourself. And that is a big ask for a lot of our students. And so the place this sits in the unit is in the third place. There's been other videos and activities that have built up to this. But for this section, I'm doing a lot of stopping and asking questions so that I can take some data and see where my student is at in their understanding of what they've done at home. So I might ask what their identifiers are. We might do some drawing on screen of how they feel. Like, is there tension in their body? Are there thoughts in their head that are running over and over? And what are those thoughts? I'm probably not going to spend my short e-learning time going through this video. So I'm really just clicking on certain spots that I like. One of the things I also like is one of the great things about everyday speech videos is the ability to really visually show theory of mind skills. This is something we are constantly, day in and day out, trying to emphasize in our social skills students. And here it is visually. So I'm always going to stop here and talk about, this is another opportunity I have. In this, if we were playing this, we would have heard this boy say this wasn't fair, because we have a student who has refused to do work. And now this student is sharing what he thinks. And I would spend some time talking about how his face looks is different than how he's thinking. And this is a nice connection for our students to make, so that they understand that how others are looking is not always the same as how they're feeling. Okay, I'm going to fast forward here. And this is a time the student is really using his skills for the first time. He's had a reenactment. He didn't do it the right way and didn't use those new skills the first time, and we saw the ramifications of that. And now the second run through of the same scene, he did use his skills. So now we're going to stop and take this opportunity to talk about that time is a luxury you never want to give away. You have time to stop and think. You have time to make good decisions. You have time to calm yourself down. You have time to put in place some really good strategies. So that's a talking point there. And then I definitely want to hit the review questions that are at the end of the video, and really go through those and be able to take some data on those. Okay. So that's how I would quickly go through a video if I was going to use my time on that. Just like I won't take too much time to talk about the worksheet, because Cal did such a nice job on that. And I think everyone saw very clearly how they could use a worksheet to also give them some data during this time that they're not physically seeing their student one-on-one and seeing their social skills in action in classrooms. So that worksheet is great. And then I also want to really make sure, going back to the idea that I now see myself as a welcome social partner in a day that does not have as many social partners as it used to. I want to make sure that that time I'm spending with my students is positive and fun and has really good conversation, and a time for us to be social and use our skills. So I would have my students certainly play this game, and we would use this as a great time to discuss what we could discuss. And then just like Cal showed with the games, I won't spend too much time on that, because we did I think we got such a great overview from Cal on that. But playing the games, we have so many open-ended questions that then you can just use to bounce into a better discussion that, you know, our games are just great for this e-learning time. I think I think we'll all really appreciate them with our students. So that is really for you. You know, I think going back to the syllabus real quick, I think the main thing that, you know, it's really for you if it's usable or not. And then many of you are going to use those shared lists. When I think about the questions that I saw coming in on shared lists and how they all work, I have a feeling many of you are going to create very personal shared lists for your caseloads, so that they have your students' first name on them. And then you can, you know, just fill those lists. And a couple other questions that I saw coming up that I can just quickly answer. They won't be, so the content inside the list will not be ordered in any specific order. So it won't necessarily be the order you want the student to view it. So you would have to create that order in another communication, such as an email with your family. All right, if someone wants to take the sharing the screen from me, can.
Yeah, we can just stop and I'll take it back over. Or go, sorry, Mo, go ahead.
Yeah, Cal, why don't you take it over again? And I just want to run through the sharing process one more time, because it is a little bit complicated. It's worth noting we built this feature really quickly just in the last couple of days so we could respond to the situation at hand. So we will be adding more to this, but we're just trying to get parents up and running as quickly as possible. So to get parents signed up with their account first, that's the first step that we're going to need. And we say parents, but it can also be students as well. We've built this with a focus on younger students where their parents would be setting their accounts up for them. But if you have high school age students or mature middle school students, you can send them to them as well. So as a subscriber, you can go to your settings page. So you click this button in the top right and you go to the settings page. And when you get to this page, there'll be this message at the bottom. And you'll have a link here. So this is a unique link just for your account. And you can copy this link and send it over to parents. So this link in an email, Google Classroom, whatever method you have for sharing with parents, they'll paste it in their browser and they'll be taken to this page here, which will allow them to create their free account. So that's the first step before you can start sharing materials, is making sure that all of your students and parents have accounts set up. Once you've confirmed that they have their account set up, you can then start sharing materials and lists with them. So the way this is done is with a list, you'll go to the list page and you can copy that URL from the top of the bar and share that with the parents. Now, it's worth noting that when you're sharing it, you're not seeing all of the lists that you created as a therapist. They're just seeing the list that you're sharing with them. So you'll notice that the parent or the student doesn't have the ability to delete anything from the list. They can't delete the list. And if they hit back to all saved lists, they're not going to see your list. They're just going to see their own personal list.
Correct.
So you don't have to worry about your students seeing the other students' names or what materials you're sharing with them. This is also available for individual materials. So if you go ahead and open an individual material, you can copy the URL for that material, the link here, and share that with the student directly. So if you don't want to share a whole list, you can just share the material directly. Again, it's worth noting that the parent or teacher needs to set up their account first and log in. And once they're logged in, you can then share the materials with them. And the parents or students will have access to the whole platform, but we recommend that you point them in the right direction with specific lists or specific materials so they know where to go. But they will have access to everything if you wanted to share that with them.
Yes. Thanks, Mo.
Yeah, no worries.
And also, I saw a bunch of questions or chats coming in about getting the syllabus and the links. And so if you weren't here at the beginning, we're going to send everything out. We're going to send all the links to you, the slides. We have blog posts with video walkthroughs of what we did today. And so you can refer back to those to watch it again and again. So you don't have to worry about watching this, but we'll also send you the recording of this webinar as well. So you'll have this, anything we mentioned today will be sent out to everybody. Okay. All right. Any other questions or the team noticed before we move on? Okay. All right. So I'm going to jump back into the presentation here. So quickly, I'm just going to go over information for school districts. And then I'm also going to talk about some of the third-party tools we've been using. So Zoom specifically, Cami, which I already showed a little bit of, and Loom is another tool that we use.
So these are tools outside of your Everyday Speech account that kind of enhance the teaching experience that you have with Everyday Speech.
Yeah, so I saw a lot of people asking about how to screen share and how to show the video live. So when we're saying use Zoom, like we're using Zoom right now, that's a third-party tool to do the screen sharing. We don't build that tool. It's just another vendor that makes video conferencing software that you can use during your sessions, but it's not actually built by Everyday Speech. Okay, so just quickly for school districts, again, we are doing a 50% discount for everybody. I'll just quickly run through this. The license policy is 1 license per user. Anyone you set up as a user can share with all of their students' parents. There's no limit on the number of parents that you can share with or students. So don't worry about that. We have a form on our site. If you're a school district or organization that feel like you need assistance, you can go right to this link. Again, I will send this out after. A member of our team, some of the people who are on the call right now, will definitely follow up with you and make sure that we can help you out. Also, if you do know just the number of people that you want access and you want to go really fast, if you need to generate a quote, you can just generate a quote right from this link. And again, I'll send it out. There is nothing to install. It runs in a web browser. And so what you would do is you would just submit a purchase order based on your quote. And then you just send us all the emails of the people you want to get signed up. We'll set them up. They'll get an email to their inbox. They just click on that, set their password, and they're off and running. It's very, very simple. No on-premises install or anything like that. Okay, great. So back to the good stuff. So using everyday speech with some remote work tools. So I just want to, again, make it clear, we're not affiliated with these companies in any way. So if you have questions on how do I screen share with groups, or how does this, this feature in Zoom isn't working, for example, we unfortunately can't answer that for you because we don't develop the tool. So recommend reaching out to those companies. And again, we have no financial relationship with these companies. We just like their tools. So the first one is Zoom. Everybody is on Zoom right now. So what is it? It is a HIPAA compliant live video conferencing service that allows screen sharing. So everybody on the other end can see what's on your computer. So imagine your student, I'm the teacher and you're the student right now. You're seeing what's on my screen and I'm talking over what's on my screen. So it'd be the exact same thing. Zoom also has, I'll get into this actually in a second, just quickly their pricing. Using their basic plan, which is 100% free, you can basically do everything you need. I don't think you would really need to pay for Zoom, especially because in response to COVID-19, they're lifting the 40-minute meeting limit on basic accounts, which are free. And so if you are at a K-12 school, you can get this for free, and you can basically do everything we've done today 100% for free. If you're not at a K-12 school, you can still have one-on-one meetings for an unlimited amount of time and screen share. It's just if you want group meetings, there's a 40-minute limit. But the price is only $15 a month. So if you think you're doing this for 3 months and you have to run your entire business using Zoom, 3 monthly payments of $14.99 is not a huge investment for the power of the tool and everything that you can do with it. So a couple of things you can do with it. So you can share your screen and your computer sound. So this is really important. So if you are doing live therapy with a student on the other end, you can share your computer sound. You'll notice this little arrow pointing to this option in the lower left-hand corner. So what that means is the audio from the video will play through the other person's computer. So you don't necessarily even have to share the link with them. You can just play the video on your end, share the screen, and then you're in control of the experience. And so they're hearing the video as if it's coming from their computer, but you're playing it on your end. So that's really, really helpful. Some other video conferencing solutions out there, the audio gets played out of your computer and then back into the speakers. And so it's just not a high quality audio experience. So that's why we recommend using Zoom, because they do have the share computer sound feature. They also have the remote access feature. So I mentioned this a couple times when I was doing the demo. So they have remote control of the mouse and the keyboard. So you can give mouse and keyboard control to the student who's on the other end, and they can control the mouse. So if you're playing a game, they can click on the question that they want to answer. They could type in their answer. If there's something to do with typing, or you're working on a worksheet and you want them to type, they can do it, and it will actually type for you on your computer. So that's a really nice feature. Of course, you can still control your mouse and your keyboard. So if you need to wrestle control away, you can just do that instantly. It's not like you don't have control anymore.
But as Cal mentioned, I think for anybody doing teletherapy, that is going to be really, really beneficial, especially for, again, those games and the digital worksheets.
Yeah. They also do have this whiteboard feature, which is similar to our digital pen on the video, where it just creates a white screen and you can co-write on the whiteboard together. And so if you want to talk, maybe make a little drawing, discussion questions, you can do that using the whiteboard. So that's another option in Zoom.
As Carrie mentioned, you know, a lot of what you guys probably want to do at the end of your sessions is have some fun time, a reward time, you know, keep your students motivated. And again, you can work on so many social skills when you're playing a game. So you could even, you know, get creative, use that whiteboard feature for maybe like a hangman type game, some sort of little game you're playing together, tic-tac-toe. You know, those simple games, when they're done remotely on screens and you're sharing control of the mouse, I think your students are going to find them extremely cool and motivating and fun. I know while I was working as a telepractice clinician, anytime we did really simple little games like this, the students just had a blast.
Yeah, those are great ideas. So simple games you can use with just a blank screen and a pen. Okay. Another tool, which I went through, I saw some questions on it, so I will go through it again, is Kami. So what Kami is a tool that allows you to write text, draw on, and mark up PDFs. And so a PDF is just the file format that a lot of documents come in. So our worksheets are in the PDF format. And so this is a PDF that I've opened in Kami. So if I was looking at a video, and I have the companion worksheet here to review, I could open that in Kami. So I'll just show you what that looks like. So I have it open in Kami now. So again, this is a third-party tool. This is not our tool. But you have over here, so you have the ability to mark up, so you can highlight things. So if you want a student to maybe highlight an answer like that. You can comment, you can write a text box, so any text field. I already wrote a little answer here, but I'll just X this out and drag a text field here, text box. So Cal writing his answer. So that's there. And then you also have shapes. So you can just add little shapes like squares, circles, you know, stamp if you want to stamp like a checkbox, or drawing as well. So you can just freeform draw. So in this case, I was drawing in how much response I should have to the conversation measuring cup. So this is just like a nice little tool where I can just, all right, I think I should respond a little bit, but it's not a super long conversation, right? So now the student has drawn that in on their end. We have an eraser, we can erase this. And then once you're done, so this can either be saved to Google Drive if you have that connected. This is also integrated with Google Classroom. And so you can save it back to Google Classroom. Or if I download it, I just download it as a file on my computer, and then I can send it over. I can send it over to the student, or I'm sorry, the student can send it back to you in that case.
So this is great. I would think also for if you guys are having to show progress, if you guys are having to kind of prove what you're doing to your districts, to admins, you can kind of save this, you know, student work and keep track of it that way. So again, sending it to your admins or sending it to parents.
Mm-hmm. Or just keeping a digital file when it comes to IEP
just
time.
Keeping it for yourself, your own records, data tracking.
Mm-hmm. So a great way, again, to use it with everyday speech is have students watch a video, then open the video companion worksheet using Kami. So I had the video companion here. So I'm opening this video companion worksheet. And so Kami is a Chrome extension. We'll send you the link to how to download it, but you can see it actually appears right here. So if you're using Chrome, it appears in your Chrome browser. So I just opened this nice little relationship ruler. And so I have this option here, K, open in Kami. So I click that. And now this worksheet is opened in, I actually opened this before. So this is in Kami. So this is the relationship ruler. Name a person you know at each level of your relationship ruler. So they could use the text box here. For family, that's my mom. For my close friend, you know, I'll put, you know, Jeff, that's one of my friends. So I'll put his name there, and I could complete this worksheet, and then, you know, I could add in text box. I could draw, you know, if you want to work with your students and say, you know, how do you think she's feeling? How do you know based on her smile and her eyes and her eyebrows? So it's a great way to mark up a document. And again, they are offering, in response to Corona, a premium plan for free to educators who've had a shutdown through at least April 30th, 2020. They said, like we said, you know, if things keep continuing the way they are, they would consider, they would consider extending that deadline. So let me go back and just, I'm going to quickly go over the last two tools, and then we can answer any and all questions that people have. Okay, so here's another example of using Kami where you circle the answers, you write in your name and the date. Okay, the last one we want to go over with you is Loom. So we use this every single day. I probably make a Loom video. So what is it? It's screen recording software. So just right now, how I'm sharing my screen, what Loom does is basically you can share your screen and record it and then save that as a video to be used at any time. So let's say you want to show parents how to access their everyday speech shared list. You could do it on your screen and record your screen and then send them the recording. And so if you want to create assignments for students, you can get a lot done in a 30-second Loom video. It's a lot easier to communicate in a remote environment than sending somebody a very, very long email. So you could just open Loom, say, hi, this is what we're going to be working on today. I'd like you to do this video and do this worksheet, and please send it back to me. And if you're working with students not in a live environment, that's a lot easier to digest than maybe a wall of text for somebody who might have trouble processing all that language.
Mm-hmm. And I think this could be a great way to just in general, you know, record yourself, either sending messages, you know, just general ways to connect with your students and be more social. I know that it's been really tough for a lot of educators and tough for the students, you know, facing, well, school might be canceled until the end of this year. They're really sad and upset about it. As Carrie mentioned, you know, they're not having a lot of social experiences during their day. So this could be a great way just to have more of those, you know, just have a little conversation, a quick, you know, 2-minute video saying hi to your students or talking about what's going on. It really, I mean, there's so many possibilities here. And then another great use, as Cal mentioned, is just being able to assign things, you know, a really quick video of you going over something, assigning your student what video they're supposed to be watching. And it's great. Cal's going to show you what it looks like, but you can either record just yourself talking and it's a video of you. You can be off the camera and still be talking and it's just showing your screen, or you could have both. So it's really, really nice.
Yeah. I'm actually not going to show it just because we have the screen share running also.
Oh, yeah.
But I could also imagine an assignment where maybe you ask the student to watch a video and then record their response to a few questions and send
you videos.
Yeah, it's very, very easy. And again, in response to coronavirus, so they're making their pro plan free for any educator or student. So you can sign up on their website, loom.com. And then the last one we want to go over here is amazing educational resources. So I think this just started sort of as a simple spreadsheet and blew up over the past week or so. And so this is simply just a list of all the companies and products that are offering, you know, free or discounted services in the wake of coronavirus. So if you go to amazingeducationalresources.com, you can get the full list. I mean, there's hundreds of things on there. I think they're working very, very quickly to add categories. And so it makes it a lot easier to search. They also have, if you go to the website, a link to their Facebook group. When I was on there earlier, I saw a ton of people asking questions. Hey, I need a tool for XYZ. Does anybody know anything? And the community was jumping in and giving them a whole bunch of answers there. So just another place for you to go and scroll and see all the different tools that are available. Okay, so that basically wraps up our portion of the webinar. I want to see if we can get any questions answered from the team. Do we have anything that's popped up recently?
One thing that's worth mentioning, sorry, Monique. It's come up a couple times, is about the HIPAA compliance for free Zoom accounts. So a couple of people have brought that up. We're not exactly sure. Zoom is going back and forth on this, but it seems at the moment some of the free accounts are not HIPAA compliant. So we would have to check with them to make sure that those are HIPAA compliant. If your school uses a different video sharing platform, that works as well. Zoom is just the one we recommend.
Yep. Great.
Sorry, Monique, go ahead.
Yeah, there was just another question about if you're doing a remote session with multiple students, can each of them work on a worksheet independently, or would they have to just work off of one worksheet as a group?
Yeah, so what you could do is you could just send each of them a link to their own worksheet, and they open it up on their end, and everybody's working on their own thing. So it's totally up to you. And then I've seen a few questions about what happens after July 1st with parent accounts. To be 100% honest, we're not quite sure yet. We're just kind of reacting to what's going on, but parents will not be charged. So it's not like there's going to be some charge coming up on their account and we're going to do it automatically. We're still trying to figure that out on our end, but they definitely won't be, they won't be charged.
And like Cal said, we're really reacting to the situation as quickly as it's developing. And we've heard a lot of great suggestions from everyone in the chat. So thank you for those. One person mentioned having the students send a screenshot of the recently viewed materials tab to just show that they were doing their homework or looking at their materials. So if you guys have any other ideas or thoughts, we're always open to it. Feel free to drop them in the chat. We also have a little chat icon inside the app. Cal, if you want to share your screen quickly and show that,
Yep.
that might be helpful. So we have a support team that's here to help as much as we can. It might be a little bit slow in the next couple of days just because we have so many parents joining the platform, but we're doing our best to get back to everyone as quickly as possible. But within the platform, you have the ability to chat into our team at any time. So that little blue button in the bottom right corner, this is on both the desktop app or on the computer as well as the iPad. You can open that up and start a chat. If you have any troubleshooting issues, something isn't loading for you, or you have any suggestions for us, you can drop them in there. And we're always open to new ideas and new ways we can improve the platform for you guys.
Yep, and we do have real people on the other end answering your questions, so it's not as you're going to get a real answer from us. So again, like Mo said, please just bear with us because we have a lot of inquiries coming in, so we're going to get back to you, but just bear with us for a little bit. Okay.
So I was just gonna mention one thing. I've seen a couple questions about like sharing videos and content with students. So if you want to share content with students, just to reiterate, you would need to share the special link with parents so that they can sign up for an account at home. So the students themselves wouldn't be able to access it on their own. They would need an account. So just use the linking when you log in. You can click settings and it's right there, as Cal showed. And we also have some material on our blog post about it as well.
Yeah, and if you sign up, your link will be emailed to you also, like instantly. So you can get it from both places, the email and from your settings page.
Also, if someone has tried to share their link and they're getting an error message, what is the email that they should send that support request to?
Yeah, just info@everydayspeech.com and we'll check it out and make sure everything's all set. Again, we appreciate everybody bearing with us. I've said it a few times, but we've really tried to ramp up in like the last 3 to 4 days and get all of this done just because we want to help. So it's not a perfect solution, but we thought it was the best and quickest way we could get out materials to parents in this environment. So, okay, great. Anything else from anybody?
Just a thank you to our customers. I mean, thank you for joining us. We have a great group of customers. I've never seen so many thank yous go across a chat. So we appreciate you and everything that you're doing. You are truly the heart and souls out in the field right now.
Thank you very much, to everyone. And again, we will be sending out all the links, the blog post, the recording, everything will be sent out to everybody who's an attendee. So if you don't get it it will probably take a couple hours for the recording to be ready. So if you don't get it by tomorrow morning, I would say first check your spam folder. And then second, you can write into info@everydayspeech.com and we'll get you a copy.
And
okay.
we do have almost 230 questions here. So we're doing our best to answer them. I think that they might go away when the webinar ends. So if we didn't get to you, we're trying our best to get to all these questions. You can write in using that chat and we'll try our best to get answers to you moving forward.
Yeah, and also if you have a question and you're off the webinar and you remember something, if you just go to everydayspeech.com/contact, I'll send this out as well. That will open up a form that you can just send your question in as well, and we'll answer you. Okay. All right. Thank you so much to everyone. We really appreciate everything you're doing in this definitely strange time. Awesome.
Good luck, everybody.
All right. Good luck. Thank you. Bye-bye.